My name is Jean-Jacques. I'm from Madagascar, and I'm a student here. I'm taking my PhD in social science at Airlangga University. And one of the reasons why I decided to choose Airlangga, first off, the facility itself. For example, like hospitals, for example, like at each campus, because there are 3 campuses, A, B, and C, and each campus has its own clinic, and it's really facilitating us for if you are sick. And also other facilities, for example, like the library itself, like this place, it's really great because for us students, like especially for taking PhD, it's really hard, so we have to have, access for example, like information technology, where it allows us for e-journals. All those resources really available at Airlangga University. So I'm really lucky that I have chosen this university. And second off, because of the environment itself. It's really cool, it's a really green campus, and there's no pollution at all, and all the people are really friendly. And the students, like my classmates, and also like there's availability of canteen and everywhere. Like, you're so glad that I chose this university.
Hello everybody, I am Shah Faisal from Pakistan, and I am here studying Master of Community Pharmacy and Faculty Pharmacy at University of Airlangga. The university is based on international standards. Every facility at international institutes needs the university has all these facilities like experienced staff, cooperative administration, internet facilities, a flash bus for transportation, sporting events, playgrounds. Every faculty has a special library regarding the books, a variety of books you can study, the parking, the cafeterias.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. My name is Ali Raza. I am a doctoral student of economics in University of Airlangga. As a research student, there is a research center for doctoral students, which is called POSA Data or Data Center. It's help about you about any research type. If you have any difficulty about research, they provide you any type of data and writing facilities and how to write for a good journal.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Universitas Airlangga, with our motto, Excellent with Morality, is determined to produce graduates, researchers, or academics who are not only excellent in their expertise, but also have a great function for people and good significant contribution in improving the welfare of the society. As a public university, Universitas Airlangga is committed to build and strengthen collaboration with institutions around the world through academic activities, research, and community services. Therefore, I would like to invite you all to work together with us through academic partnership for serving all communities. I look forward to welcoming you in Universitas Airlangga in the near future. Thank you.
When you ask about Universitas Airlangga or think about applying, we will give you an insight about us in numbers.
You can come to Surabaya, the second biggest city in Indonesia. Just an hour's flight from Jakarta, and find us selecting over 9,000 students each year.
And it's easy to go anywhere from here. Only 40 minutes to international airport, 30 minutes to bus station, and 5 minutes to railway station.
We select each individual carefully for our 14 faculties to learn with more than 38,000 other students from around the world each year.
You'll be learning in 3 different campuses, connected by 3 shuttle buses, going every 30 minutes every day. No big deal.
65 different programs consisting 39 bachelors, 45 masters, 13 doctorate, 3 4 years vocationals, and 17 3 years vocationals.
41 specialists and 7 professional educations. Among them, there are 5 international class and dual degree programs, and also 12 multidisciplinary programs in our postgraduate school.
Want to know our international class?
Nice to see you again, Dian. Okay.
Hello, Prof. Chen.
Yes, how are you?
I'm good, thank you, Prof.
声音太小了。
因为刚刚已经在写那个，我会转一下。
Welcome everyone. We would like to start agenda in a minute, but before we go further, I would like to give you a short video provided of Universitas Airlangga. Please enjoy it.
Vero, we may proceed.
Sure. Please kindly to all of the participants to mute your microphone because we would like to start the agenda in a minute. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. May peace be upon us. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon. His Excellency Dr. Muhammad Miftahul Suroor, PhD, Vice Rector for Internationalization, Digitalization and Information, Universitas Airlangga. The honorable speakers, Professor Chin Wei Song from National University of Singapore, Professor Yong Zulina from University of Malaya, and also we have from Osaka University, Professor Jaya, and also we have from Taiwan, from Asia University, Professor Ying Hui Chen, and also from Universitas Airlangga, we have in here Dr. Dian Ikowati, the moderator, organizing committee, all of our guests that present today, thank you and welcome to the first Airlangga Global Talk. My name is Vero. I will be the master of ceremony for today's event. Ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate your patience to attend this webinar about sustainable global academic cooperation. We hope that this webinar will provide you a great insight about the topic. Excellencies, as a kick-off, I would like to please Dr. Miftahul Suroor as the Vice Rector of Universitas Airlangga to give the opening remarks. To Dr. Muhammad Miftahul Suroor, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you today on this very special occasion on the very first webinar from the Airlangga Global Talk Series. A very warm greetings to all of our esteemed webinar participants, and most especially Professor Chin Wei Song, the Academic Director of Global Relations Office of National University of Singapore. Thank you very much. Professor Yong Zulina Zubairi, the Associate Vice Chancellor for Internationalization Initiatives from University of Malaysia. Thank you. Dr. Clement Angkawijaya, the specially appointed Professor of Center for Global Initiatives of Osaka University. Thank you very much. Professor Ying Hui Chen, the Dean of the International College Asia University. And the last but not least, Dian Ikowati, PhD, the Head of Airlangga Global Engagement. For all moderator, MC, and the organizing committee, it is a great honor from Universitas Airlangga to be able to collaborate with 4 prominent universities for this webinar to discuss the topic of enhancing global academic mobility during pandemic into different perspectives. First, in East Asian perspective, and secondly, the Southeast Asian perspective. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic has caused tremendous impact towards higher education sector and its internationalization that we must adapt and change the way we conduct teaching and learning methods. This include, but not limited to, mobility programs which have had to be postponed and to some extent constrained due to the existing travel bans and travel restriction. This limitation poses certain challenges indeed, especially to the institutions so heavily influenced by the global dynamics such as higher education institutions. Thus, our need to adapt to devise particular SIM where space limitation is no longer an issue but part of the solution. So far, we drive with the help of the advancement of technology, as like today, where virtual world becomes our new reality. The current alternative, of which our presence are mainly becoming online these days, has propelled us not only to consider our existing method, but also think far ahead of a sustainable global academic cooperation framework where we can enhance global academic mobility regardless of the limitation. Ladies and gentlemen, in this webinar, we have invited speakers whom are the experts when it comes to academic mobility, and I thank them for their willingness to spare their time to discuss not only about the existing methods. Most higher education have employed of us their sustainable global academic cooperations framework, but also how such framework can help enhance the global academic mobility and serve as a starting point for more sustainable framework in the near future. I have high expectation that in joining this webinar, the participants will have a better comprehensive on how mobility should be done amidst a pandemic, and that having gained more insights, participants will be more encouraged to immerse themselves in international level activities, regardless of the current circumstances. This webinar will not be a success without the contribution of other universities, and with regard to this, I encourage everyone here to stay engaged, to always be proactive and endlessly support each other throughout the program. Last but not least, I wish you all an educational and memorable experience. Thank you for your attention, and once again, welcome to the very first webinar of Erlangga Global Talk Series. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Muhammad Miftahul Sudur, for the warm greetings. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to proceed to our main agenda for this webinar. I would like to invite the moderator for today's program in engagement. To Dr. Irfan Wahyudi, the time is yours.
Thanks, Viro. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Irfan Wahyudi, and I will be the moderator for this afternoon session. As maybe you have already noted, that we will have two sessions in this afternoon. The first one will be the perspective of East Asian universities regarding the global cooperation in the challenging time. As we already know that this pandemic era has brought many changes, especially in the business of global mobility, global university mobility. And it's also bring challenges and also bring innovations. In this webinar, we will try to seek what kind of approaches has been developed by different universities in Asia that it's not only a challenge, but also a time for us to innovate our programs, to innovate our kind of approach to the students and also to the staffs. And it brings another dimension of cooperation itself. And we are really thankful here that right now we have this amazing panelists that can share their ideas and also their university experiences in handling during these hard times. At this first session, we have Professor Clement Angkawijaya, the representative from Osaka University. And in here, as we can also read that Professor Dr. Clement Angkawijaya was born in Jakarta and went to college at Bogor Agriculture University. He came to Osaka University in 2002 to study biotechnology and obtained his doctoral degree in 2007 with a specialization in structural biology. He was then appointed as an assistant professor at the Graduate School of Engineering with the Global Center of Excellence in Bioenvironmental Chemistry, where he taught biotechnology subjects for international master's students. He then moved to the International College in 2010, where he was responsible for the teaching biochemistry and related subjects for undergraduate international students in the chemistry biology combined major program. He left the university at the end of 2015 to work for an antibody drug discovery company in Hokkaido. He returned to Osaka University in July 2017 as an associate professor of biology in the same program and then moved to the Center for Global Initiative in April 2020. His current activities are centered on strengthening Osaka University's international presence under the Super Global University Project and attracting top-level international students and young researchers. Well, hello, selamat siang, Dr. Clement. Apa kabar?
Selamat siang.
How are you, Doctor?
Nice to see you.
Selamat siang. Okay. Yes, we are thankful that you are able to come here and also joining our webinar. For this session, we would like you to give your presentation about things that you have done with your university in Japan, and you will have 10 minutes for that. Please, the time is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Irfan, for the very kind introduction. I will start my talk. Let me share my screen with you. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, good. Right, so I will give a short talk about our efforts in internationalization, and then I will spend hopefully more time in talking about what we have been doing in tackling COVID-19, especially for our academic mobility. So three topics that I will discuss today: the programs that we have for international education, our internationalization strategy and actions, and academic mobility in the COVID-19 era. We have 12 programs in English, so all of them are graduate programs. Most of the programs are in the graduate school of engineering. So the programs vary from biotechnology to physics and also chemistry. We'll have 2 programs in School of Science, one in engineering science and one in the information science and technology. Other than this, we also have 2 undergraduate English programs that we will not, of course, have time to discuss here. We also have some short-term exchange programs. The first one, Frontier Lab, this is Science and Engineering program for undergraduate or graduate students. The second and third one are Japanese language program, Maple and J-Ship. OSEP is a general program for students in institutions that we have agreement in student exchange with. iExpo is the regular exchange program, and this is mostly for students who are fluent in Japanese. We also have concluded double degree programs with 25 institutions in 15 countries. This is the data in 2019. I think we have more in 2020, about 40 or more of double degree programs. One example of this program is shown here. So the participants of this double degree program do research in the partner university for 1 or 2 years, and then come to Osaka University for doing lab research, and will get a degree from both universities. Moving forward to our internationalization strategy and actions, our strategy is shown here. There are 3 main strategies that we are doing in our internationalization efforts. First one is the internationalization at home in Japan and local areas abroad. Second one, education and training with global partners, and stronger research impact on the global scale. Our actions are shown here. So we improve the campus and living environment. We have 3 campuses, we call them the OU Global Campus. We also have the Global Village, which is basically a student dorm. We collaborate at the institutional level. Other than the MOU, inter-faculty MOU and inter-university MOU, we have developed a new and higher level of partnership called the Global Knowledge Partner, which I will explain in our next slide. We also collaborate through our overseas campuses. We now have 4 ASEAN campuses. One of them is in Indonesia, in Bandung. Right, so these are our 3 campuses. We have the Toyonaka campus, the Suita campus, this is our largest one, and the Mino campus. This is the smallest one and mainly house the language-related faculties and centers. This will be moved to a new location in 2021, which not only houses a campus, but also houses 1 student dorm that is going to be used mainly for Japanese language program students, exchange students. So this is our first global village. Our second one is the property that we have been maintaining for a very long time. But the university renovated this property very recently, and it will be open in October this year. Right, so let's move on to the Global Knowledge Partners. So as I mentioned before, this is our highest level of partnership with overseas institutions. Right now we have 3 partners, one in UCL, Groningen, and Shanghai Jiao Tong. This will be expanded to UC Davis, UC San Diego, UBC, and Monash, and other universities. So what is this program? It's basically a program of partnership in multidisciplinary approaches to address global issues effectively. And we aim to generate synergy from the mutual strengths of the universities. We also aim to have stronger collaborations through researcher exchange funding, seed funding for research collaborations, and also joint educational programs. And it's possible to expand this to multi-party collaborations. Our ASEAN campuses were established quite recently. So the aims or purposes are to foster the 3Q principle of growth, quality of life, nature, and technology, cultivate top local talents, social contribution through co-creation with the industry, government, and universities, build industrial network with the local companies and also Japanese-based companies, and implement double degree programs in the joint campuses. 4 campuses, one in Vietnam, one in Thailand, one in Brunei Darussalam, and one in Indonesia in Bandung Institute of Technology. And these are the double degree programs that are currently ongoing on these 4 campuses. Right, so let's move on to our final topic about academic mobility in the COVID-19 era. So I think the COVID-19 pandemic has affected everyone, every university in the world. In Japan, particularly, the data that we have obtained last week, so it's quite a fresh data. So there are currently around 400 new international students that are still, we don't really know whether they can come to Japan or not. We have around 153 currently enrolled international students that are unable to re-enter Japan. We have a much less number of international researchers, but quite a significant number of the new ones that are supposed to be here on April 1st, but are unable to come yet. In national universities in Japan, the numbers are of course more much larger. And not only we have some negative or bad news for you. I'm sorry, where is it? But I recently heard that Japan has been slowly reopening its borders, and there is a plan to allow international students to enter Japan around the end of August or September under certain conditions. Our university has allowed face-to-face and hybrid classes and labs in the autumn semester, for which we will start in October. Right. This I will share with you the action plans of our university toward a sustainable international cooperation. I have received this document very recently and on Friday last week, so this is very fresh information. First one is to strengthen the relationship with global partners, develop new forms of international exchange activities that include virtual study abroad. So this is not only for foreign students, but also for Osaka University students, and utilize the overseas basis of Osaka University. The third one, to develop and implement online joint education programs and collaborative research with our global partners. Activities that we have implemented and we are planning to do are online live promotions. We have implemented in 3 languages, Chinese, Mongolian, and Indonesian. We are planning to implement this in Burmese, Vietnamese, and Thai. We are also making promotional videos and posting them on our official YouTube channel. Online or hybrid meetings and symposiums, these are planned. And online summer and winter schools under the GKP project, Global Knowledge Partner Project. And online hybrid classes under double degree and short-term certificate programs. These are some examples of the activities that we have conducted. Also videos and online symposiums. That's all for me. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Prof. Clement Angkawijaya. So we have this important information from Osaka University that, well, patient it's very important in this term, and it's what we have already seen that Osaka University, even though like everyone is already know Osaka, but it's not just stay there, right? It needs to move, right? It needs to move.
Exactly.
So yeah, let's hear from another university in East Asia, Asia University. We have Professor Ying Hui Chen here. Sorry, Prof. Clement, can you unshare your screen? Oh, yes, thanks. All right, Professor Ying Hui Chen. He completed his bachelor and master degree at National Taiwan University and then completed his PhD in English literature at the University of Maryland, USA. As an academic professor, Professor Chen has completed various researches in the field of literature such as Victorian literature, the English novel, cultural studies. His interest covers English for specific purpose, material writing, and internationalization of higher education. He has also received several honoraria, including TESOL ESIS Chair 2012 to 2015, the President of Taiwan ESP Association, also consultant in the Internationalization and English Enhancement Program, Ministry of Education, and several other honoraria that made Professor Ying Hui Chen trusted to develop Asia University's reputation in the international arena. Well, Professor Chen is a very close friend of us in Universitas Airlangga. How are you, Prof. Chen?
Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Please, you may proceed with your presentation.
Okay. Thank you very much for this good invitation. I'm honored to be part of this, webinar. But today my talk turned out to be, more, philosophical in terms of my thinking about education, about global mobility. So I just get started. Okay. I just get started. Okay, this is the picture of my university. Okay. I just get started with the question. Can you share the PowerPoint so that I can do it on my own? Hello? Irvin?
Yes, Prof. Chen.
can I share the PowerPoint so that I can do it on my own?
Of course, yes, yes.
Okay.
Please,
Okay. So this is. Okay. So this is some photos of Asia University. But as I said, I would start this talk with some, more philosophical issues. For example, during this pandemic crisis, we have been asked, each of us, by our government, to make an either-or choice: health or privacy. Which should we choose? Choose health or choose privacy? I think the answer is obvious. Overwhelming majority would choose, health over privacy. My question is this the right question for the government to ask the citizen? Do we have to make this either-or choice? Back to the academic setting or learning setting, we ask our student the same kind of question: health or study? You need health, you stay at home. You don't have to come to school, and you can do it online. The kind of alternative or study. So to me, actually, students can enjoy both. They can enjoy health. They can enjoy study at the same time. So fortunately, here in Taiwan, even after the pandemic started, all schools have not been closed. Not a single school, was closed in the past. And all the schools continue, education continue, learning continue, teaching continue. Of course, some professors adopt online teaching mode as an alternative, but still, high majority of professors and teachers, they come to campus to give the so-called face-to-face, in-person lecture. So this gives us something to think about, the priority for our student, So I would start with the so-called idea of the new normal. Actually, today, a lot of people talk about the new normal. So we have to adapt ourselves to the new normal. But from the perspective of learning, the new normal probably is the right way of thinking. But if we think in terms of pandemic and we talk about the new normal, I think this could be quite risky. Once we get used to the idea of the new normal, everything turned out to the new normal, then I think we are put in a quite a risky, dangerous situation. Okay, taking everything for granted as the new normal. So I would try to make some distinction between the new normal in a pandemic setting and the new normal in academic setting. I think in academic setting, we also face the new normal, but the new normal is caused not because just of the pandemic. Actually, the term itself, the new normal, the term itself, was used well before the outbreak of COVID-19. Okay, for example, Harari, talk about strangeness becomes the new normal. Strangeness. Of course, when he talk about strangeness, he referred to the uncertainty, to the unprecedented situation created by new technologies, such as bioengineering, such as artificial intelligence, such as some other new technologies. So I think when you think about the new normal in terms of academic setting, we cannot just have the pandemic COVID-19 in mind. Actually, we need to have the sort of discontinuity change in our mind in terms of education. Okay, so in the context of COVID-19, the term could be misleading. Okay, meaning this global crisis of virus is the new normal, therefore relaxing any proactive protection measures against this virus. So I think in Indonesia, I learned at least from some of my friends there, Indonesia emphasized instead, new adaptation, not the new normal. I think new adaptation in terms of pandemic COVID-19, I think probably is a better term. But in the context of education, new normal refers to new methods of delivery of contents, for example, like online at home for teachers, and new methods learning online at home for students, for example. So eventually, online, offline teaching and learning in terms of education could be the so-called new normal. And I believe it's gaining momentum. Even today, we are using online, we are using webinar for discussion for this conference. So at Asia University, because of new situation, not necessary because of the pandemic, also the new change. So Asia University, I think Erlangga as a good partner of Asia University over the past years, you might have known each year Asia University is holding a big, summer program. Probably the biggest one, the largest one in Taiwan. Last year, we offered 11 programs with about 650 students from partner university around the globe. We have like 43 universities joining last year. This year, because of pandemic, so when we designed the summer program, actually we have two alternatives. One is the so-called face-to-face summer program, as we did last year. Another is the alternative, okay? The online program. At that time, we just decide to wait and see if the pandemic continues, if the border doesn't open, okay, then we might adopt the online summer program. But to be honest, at first, I was quite conservative. I told my colleagues, last year we have 650, more than 650. This year, if we could collect 100 to 150, we would be more than happy. But let me tell you, this year, we have students from 51, actually 52, because eventually we also have students from Malaya University, University of Malaya joining. So we have 52 partner universities, roughly 924 students. So the number is sustaining, is surprising, is delightful. So this gives me some thought. Perhaps I'm too old to learn the new tricks, because when I designed the program, I was thinking online probably not many students would join without realizing all the new generation belong to the so-called digital native, okay, digital native. So this is something for us to think about. So our summer program is still continuing. Actually, this early afternoon before our discussion starts, I was invited to, have the so-called closing ceremony for one of our summer program in terms of artificial intelligence. We have about 130 students from different partners around the globe. So give us some idea, online summer program and traditional summer program eventually might be two alternatives. In other words, we, in terms of student mobility, we might create, okay, like in-person, face-to-face, physical summer program. And the other choice is online. So for those students who want to go overseas to experience, who can afford to do this, they can choose physical, in-person summer program. For those who can't, for some reason, who cannot afford to do it, they can have the so-called online summer program. So actually, my university is trying to design two types of summer program next year, one for online, one for physical. And also because of this, new change, because of this uncertainty caused by the new change, new technology, also because of pandemic, we just, have the so-called one online education fair last month. Actually, you might know that at Erlangen, we have an education center sponsored by Taiwan Ministry of Education, but operated by Asia University. So every year, as the PI of the center, every year I might take roughly 30 universities from Taiwan to Surabaya, to Jakarta, to some other places to have education fair. But this year it's not possible. So we decide to have online education fair. And to our surprise, again, turned out to be a big success. So I was approached last week by Taiwan Ministry of Education to help organize an online education fair for the Vietnamese students. So we are planning to do this in late October. And the third, possibility, and this is something for us to think about, the so-called virtual exchange program. Actually, we start this program with ITB, with ITS, and then UNEA, ONDIP, UNJ, etc. Okay, we also have some virtual exchange with 2 or 3 universities in India, like University of Hyderabad, like MITS in India. So virtual exchange program, like online summer program, could be 2 alternatives. One for students who go physically for semester exchange. One for those who just take courses, okay, for exchange. So this is the so-called virtual exchange program. And this is something for us to think about, okay? And as I said, this is, more detail about the virtual exchange. So DM, and also Irvin did receive message from Asia University trying to, discuss about the possibility of this virtual exchange between the 2 universities. So this could be something new for us. And if we talk about after COVID-19 in terms of internationalization, I think, 2 big concepts comes to our mind. One is the so-called globalization. Actually, it's globalization and localization. How to, reach a balance between these 2. Okay, when the border is closed, when the world suffers from, lockdown, how can we do, internationalization, globalization? By the way, before I proceed, I have a good news to announce. Actually, Taiwan government yesterday just announced all the international students, whether all students or new students, they are allowed to enter Taiwan for the 4th semester this year. So that means Taiwan has opened the border to all, international students. So if you happen to have students from your university, from your family, from your friends, please help spread the good news. So we are prepared to receive these students this coming fall. And then the second, concept is the so-called competition. It's cooperation and competition at the same time. Take Asia University and Erlangen University, for example. We are very good partners. We have been engaged in all kinds of cooperation, including, joint research, double degree program. But at the same time, we are competing with each other in terms of the so-called World University ranking. So again, how to cooperate and compete at the same time as a good partner. This is something for us to think about. Okay. Again, to me, we are, yes.
In 2 minutes.
Okay. To me, we live in the so-called brave new world. Okay. And according to 19th century English poet Shelley, nothing may endure but mutability. change. Or according to Harris, change is the only constant. So facing change, how are we going to design the program for global mobility? How are we going to teach the new talents in the age of uncertainty, in the age of technology change, challenge, and innovation? So perhaps we ask, the staff or as a student, we need to develop some, new attitude like adaptability, flexibility, mobility, creativity. Okay, and for me, this is the future. Virtual as real, like zero contact, that online, offline, a blended, learning mode, the so-called new normal. Okay. Also, for internationalization on campus, probably we have to do EMOU, EMOA. We don't have to sign it in person. I just mentioned the virtual exchange. We have the online summer program. We have the online education fair. We have transnational online joint teaching and research. This could be something for us to think about, okay? And I think before I close my talk, I just want to mention this book to our, speakers, 21 Lessons for the 21st Century by Harari. Of course, the book has become a bestseller, but in particular, in this book, he has one chapter on education. And I think this chapter on education probably can teach a lot of teachers, professors in time of uncertainty, in time of change, in time of pandemic, some good lesson for us. Okay, this is like what he just mentioned, the new normal is strangeness. Okay, and change is the only constant. So I think his view about education, rings quite familiar if we, ever listen to the commencement address by Steve Jobs, like connecting the dots, like, liberal education helps to cultivate the so-called, horizontal perspective. Now vertical, in the past, we used to adopt the vertical, perspective. Now it's probably the horizontal perspective, okay? And this will be the last slide, I think, in terms of student mobility, in terms of cultivation of young talents, we need to teach the 4 C's to the new generation of students, the so-called critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. I do believe if our student has developed, cultivate their ability to deal with change, to learn new things, and to preserve a mental balance in unfamiliar situation. It doesn't matter whether it's global mobility or it's global market. I do think they will be able to thrive in the time of uncertainty, in the time of pandemic crisis. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chen. Such inspiring words coming from you. And we already know also that you have many experiences in internationalization. Well, we have the Q&A session right now. If the audience can type, please type it in the Q&A box, and then I will read the questions from you to the speakers. First, before we go to the audience, I would like to ask on Professor Clement from Osaka University. Well, you have talked about your different kind of programs, right? Your approaches into a different level of academics, like to your students and also to staffs. But can you give some explanation about which kind of obstacles actually you felt in handling this internationalization in your university? Whether it's you focus maybe on the quantity of the students, like how many people that you are going to attract, or is it just another kind of thinking that develops by your university?
Please. Thank you very much, Pak Irfan. So there is a project that the Ministry of Education is implementing, and Osaka University is a part of that national project. And it's called the Super Global University. And one of the KPIs of that project is to increase the number of international students. However, as a national university, we are limited by the number of student quota that we can accept every year. So this quota includes Japanese and also international students. For undergraduate level students, the quota is very strictly maintained. So if we, for example, we accept 100 international undergraduate students, we can only accept 1,900 Japanese students from the total quota of 2,000, for example. And this has led Osaka University to kind of not focus too much on undergraduate level students. And for the graduate level students, the quota is very relaxed, so it's just not very strictly maintained. So the strategy lately has been going on to attracting more graduate students. That's number one. Number two, based on my experience, having international undergraduate students in campus can be quite difficult. We have to provide 4 years of education, and many of them are coming in very young, and I have seen a lot of psychological problems that students face being away from the family at a very young age.
Yes, yes.
To answer your question, we really want to focus on both. We want to have more to achieve our KPI, targeted KPI, but we also want highly qualified students to join our campus.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Clement. We have one question here at the Q&A box to Professor Chen. How do you think is the best way to maintain the credibility of the previously prominent university degree during pre-pandemic to today's online-based education system? Because while at least I can see that is the online test couldn't provide enough prevention towards cheating practices. From Andika. Please, Prof.
Okay. Yeah, I think, actually, we traditionally, we would favor the so-called in-person lecture. And I believe, engagement in person helps a lot in terms of learning, in terms of teaching. But given the fact that new technology has made zero contact become a reality, become a possible. So I think in the future, I would say all the university, all the classes, all the schools will design the so-called two alternatives. One is like the traditional physical, one is the so-called virtual, okay? And this physical and virtual is not, I think it becomes the reality sooner because of the pandemic. But actually, if no pandemic has ever happened, this will also become a new reality in the near future because of the change in new technologies. So I would say, all the universities should get prepared with at least two alternatives in terms of teaching. Okay, so I'm doing this myself, even for the coming semester. In my 18 weeks of semester, I designed, okay, 30 weeks physical, 30 weeks online, okay, to see who, and I can make a comparison to see which mode of delivery is more effective. So I think this also gives us teachers a good opportunity to make some kind of experiment, okay? So even for a summer program, this year, as I mentioned, we do it online. But next year, believe me, we will do two ways, okay? Physical summer program, online summer program. Exchange the same, physical exchange or online virtual exchange. To me, this is, where this will become the new reality.
Right. Okay. Also answer the question. If you guys, the audience can type it again at the Q&A. And also give the opportunity as well to other speakers. Maybe you have questions for both panelists right now from maybe Prof. Yong and Prof. Chin, and also Budian would like to ask something, please.
No, not later, perhaps.
All right. Okay. So, Prof. Chen, in this regard, I think, and also Prof. Clement, well, we know that online has made everything easier, right? International students can actually come up and crossing the border without having the passport or visa by doing this online program. But can you actually see that there is something missing by doing this online kind of activities, and whether it's matter into the future? I mean, how students or maybe the academics perceive about themselves in the future when they are doing these online activities. Maybe Prof. Clement or Prof. Chen can answer that.
I can probably answer that first. In my opinion, we cannot replace face-to-face interaction. Having mobility means not only learning in the academic way, but also learning the culture, learning about the people of the country that you're visiting. So also we as human beings, we have not evolved to connect virtually with other human beings, right? I mean, being alone, living alone in one room and only be connected with others through online is not something that feasible as a human being. But it is probably the only way that we can use during this lockdown and national border closure. But still, there's so many things missing to answer your question. Thank you.
Thank you. Prof. Chen?
Professor Clement, I think what is missing is the so-called personal contact, the human touch. But if we talk about like experience, okay, education experience in terms of like student exchange, actually, we might be able to make up for this by adopting the so-called AR, VR technology. Okay, if you use AR, VR technology, students don't have to go to Jakarta, they don't have to go to Surabaya, they can still see Surabaya. So to me, I think, you know, eventually, regardless of this pandemic, I think a new mode of teaching, a new mode of learning, aside from the traditional one, will exist together. So I think actually some of my colleagues at Asia University are using VR, okay, virtual reality in some of their courses. Okay, so students, you know, are put in a situation, they learn it in a situation or situated learning, you know, as if they are in the real world. Okay, like, you know, they don't have to go to Surabaya. Through VR, they can experience Surabaya. So this is what I meant by the so-called new technologies. So new technology will bring a lot of, you know, changes to our future students. This is my belief. Thank you.
It's so optimistic, Professor Chen. And yeah, I think it's important to keep this optimism in this kind of situation. And even though that we still don't know whether it will be ended, right? Since like the vaccines and other things that maybe still not being announced or massively distributed. But into this, back again to the issue of internationalization, do you think that the approach of this online, like, and also the development of communication technology such as VR, Google and something like that, will it be the answer in the future? I mean, as we know that maybe when we are watching a movie called the Ready Player One, like everybody's using VR, right, in their daily activities. But during this time, should people give more their attention or invest more in technology, since it's like, as what you have previously said, according to Harari, this is something that, the change is the only constant. Like, we should put our attention more on technology. should it be more onto this on the university itself in investing on technology itself?
Okay,
What do
perhaps
you think? Yeah.
I can answer the question first, because don't forget, I am from humanities. Okay, my background is humanities. My background is English lit. And you know, humanities people don't like science. Okay, humanities people don't like science. Science and humanities are two rival enemies. But unfortunately, I'm put in the position as the dean. Okay, I'm not just the dean of International College. I'm also the dean of humanities and social sciences. Okay, so I'm facing the need of these young people for their future. Actually, we don't know the kind of job in the year 2050. What kind of job? We can never imagine, okay? But we need to get our students prepared for that. That is the reason why, even in my humanities, all the students need to learn two things. They need to take compulsory courses in terms of programming. Our humanities, our social science students need to learn programming as compulsory. Second, all the students at Asia University need to learn artificial intelligence as part of their requirement. Okay, so we adopt this, policy just because we believe our students in the future are facing these kind of challenges created by new technologies. And think about your, shopping, style. In the past, you have to go to the market to buy things. Now you do it online. Like Dian, do it online to buy all kind of cosmetics. For example, Dian doesn't have to go to, the beauty shop to buy all the cosmetics, for example. You have to do it online. Okay, so this has changed our way of behavior, our way of going shopping. So I believe as a teacher, whether we like it or we curse it, actually, from a humanity perspective, I don't like new technology very much, but I have to embrace it. I have to welcome it because this is something, my student will face in the future. Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you. So I agree with Professor Chen that this technology is something that we have to use, and I think we have seen a lot of benefits of using technology in international academic mobility. We don't have to pay so much money for traveling. We don't have to spend so much time, and the scope of audience is also much larger than the traditional one. To answer Pa Irfan's question, I think this in the future, of course, will have to be developed, but we also must not forget to prepare the humans that will use this technology. As an educator, I have the experience of having students doing online classes, and we cannot really see the students face to face. We do not know under what psychological situation the student is. Sometimes the student can be really stressed out because of the pandemic, but we cannot really detect it. So I think that's one of the challenges that we have to overcome to use technology. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. Clement and Prof. Chen. The time is up for this session. Thank you very much for this very insightful discussion on East Asian University's perspective. And right now, we carry on to the next session, which is the Southeast Asian University's perspective. We may start with the host university, Universitas Airlangga, which will be represented by Dr. Dian Ekawati. Dr. Dian Ekawati, as the head of Airlangga Global Engagement, responsible to conduct international activities in Universitas Airlangga. She has an advanced understanding and experience on internationalization of higher education institutions. As an academician, she holds a degree of Doctor of Philosophy in management of change and strategies, organizational network, in politics and power, as well as in organizational territorialist from University of York, UK. She is an experienced senior lecturer and researcher with a demonstrated history of working in the higher education industry and organization. In addition, she also had lots of academics publication, participated in conferences and won several competitions, namely Best Paper of ASYNTEC 2016, Best Paper in International Conference on Organization Innovation 2015, second Best Poster Presentation in PhD Research Week in University of York 2012, and many more. Please welcome Dr. Dian Ekowati.
Thank you, Dr. Irfan, and thank you also to all professors who have given their valuable time to join this meeting. We are so sorry that Professor Nyoman, which I believe, who I believe already contacted each one of you to join this meeting, is unavailable to join the meeting. She sends her warmest regard to Prof. Yong, Prof. Chin, as well as to Prof. Clement and also Prof. Chen. Allow me to share my screen and share how we are in Universitas Airlangga dealing with this kind like pandemic, especially which relates to the academic mobility. All right, everyone, I believe that we are on the same foot and we experience this all together during this pandemic, because everyone will experience all the same with the restrictions and everything. But then in Universitas Airlangga, I believe that we also share some of the ideas that had already been shared by both Professor Clement and also Professor Chen. So agenda of the talk today, I would like to talk about it's our agenda, how our internationalization's objectives now mingle with the crisis and everything, and we have to move on anyway, and how we experience some challenges that I'm sure that I would like to hear also from other the presenters. So if we talk about the university's agenda with regards to internationalization as well as the crisis, I believe this what I can share at the moment. This is our achievements at the moment. I know that comparing to some other university like Osaka, Malaya, and US, as well as the Asia University, we are still, you know, like trying to catch up, but then we believe that this is a never-ending journey, even though that we can see the top of the mountain, but still somehow it seems so close, but it's still far away. So with regards to internationalization's agenda, as you can see that there are some of the indicators that are mandated by the government. So with the crisis or not, life needs to go on and the target needs to be achieved. So apart from this kind like, you know, like a numbers of target, we still have to do such kind of like programs and support the university in achieving this kind of like a program. So with regards to our main strategies of internationalizations, basically similar to other Indonesian university or maybe anyone or any university in the world, we do have what we call as the 3 pillars of education, which is academic, research, and community empowerment. So basically our internationalization strategies needs to cover these 3 pillars. And then if we talk about the internationalizations, of course, we do have to engage with our global partnership, with our global collaboration. So basically we cover every single stakeholders under these global partnerships. That include the governments, the NGOs, or other institutions such as the UN or any other bodies under the UN. And then also, of course, and this is our, I believe that this happens to every one of us, that we rely on our universities partners. And that means like we cannot, like neglect the existence of NUS, as well as Osaka University, as well as AU, as well as for me, it's equally important not to talk only about the global partnership, but also the domestic partnership. And then we have to cover as well the individual, or we can say it's like a people-to-people partnership. So because people is our backbone, and then surely that there is no collaborations without the involvement of people. And then, of course, I believe that similar to Osaka and also similar to Taiwan Asia University, we do have our targets and our priority on doing the internationalizations at home. If we talk about this kind like crisis, I know that Professor Chen talked about the pandemics, but actually for us and maybe later for every one of us, that the crisis doesn't necessarily comes only in terms of pandemic. So we talk about the crisis in general, which yes, unfortunately now we do have this kind like a pandemic. And although that it is originated from health perspective, but now I think it's already impacted to other areas, including economics and other, in a society. So the question is then what, or so what? The university, and I believe that all university in the world are still bound by the target. So you need to achieve the target anyway. And units or institutions underneath the university are still required to achieve their objective, including our institutions, our Airlangga Global Engagements. We do all the same. So there is nothing changed on our contract to the university. We still have like a higher expectations to fulfill the numbers of the students or anything. So one way or another, we need to embrace the situations, and we just consider it as a challenge, or perhaps you can consider it as an opportunity if we see it on the other way around. So for us in AGE, or Airlangga Global Engagement, we just need to think that we have to embrace the challenge, we have to play to our strength, as well as we have to innovate, because the life must go on again. So what about the mobility? So this is our strategic choice. I know that it won't be this simple, but then with regards to our discussions, I'd like just to highlight what we have in mind. And this is an everlasting discussions, especially in our office, with regards to mobility. But in general, we have two types of the programs. We have the ongoing programs. I mean, like when the pandemic strike, some of the programs already, ongoing, but some are the upcoming. So with regards to the ongoing programs, there are some choices. We can continue the program as it is, because we do have students who staying abroad, and we have also some overseas students staying in our university, or we can have like an early terminations. And it happens, I mean, like in Airlangga as well. I mean, like we have some like hundreds of students went home due to their universities calling, or their parents calling, or it's just they just want to be home, during this pandemic or this challenging time. But there are also many of them, like hundreds of them as well, they choose to stay in the university and also in Surabaya. So that's with the ongoing programs. So with the upcoming programs, there are some of the choices, like more challenging choices, I think, because we can keep going with it. There are many of Pak Irfan's, Dr. Irfan's programs that now is still ongoing. So the choices will be either we do it in the normal designs, like offline, or maybe we do it like a differently, like an innovative designs. We will talk about it later. And then the other one is the postponing or canceling the programs. I know that we just cannot help if the program is canceled. We experience that as well with our partners. I mean, like we just cannot push that we need these programs either outbound or inbound to take place. But then when our partner said that it is not safe to invite you offer to Malaysia perhaps, then we just cannot push it. So I believe with this postponing or canceling the programs, there are lots of options. The end of the story, so that's it, we terminate. Or we can have it at later dates. That's what we also did in Airlangga. Or we can change the program into something new. And we have also that kind of thing as well. So yes, the show must go on. So this is our kind of like a strategy to ensure the sustainability of the internationalization programs, especially those relates to the academic mobility. First thing first, as I said previously, that we need to embrace the challenge. I know that this seems like a cliche, but then I do believe that all of us needs to have like, you know, like to have like a spirit. In Indonesia, we call it semangat, or in Malay. So it says that, you know, like we need to have this kind of like a hope. We have this kind of like, you know, expectations, good expectations that everything will be good or will end well. So basically with the embracing the challenge, we need to think out of the box, not only thinking about what we do at the moment, but what we can do in a better, for a better performance and for a better ways. That would be regarding to think out of the box. Of course, you need to consider, and we need to consider our own strengths. So I do believe that building on our own organization strengths, and I'm glad that we do have a very good teamwork, and I believe that all of our colleagues here in global engagement, so it's really given like their 1000% of, you know, like ideas and energies to ensure that all the programs are running well. And the second strategy will be reach out, especially to those closer to the institutions. What I'm talking here, it's regarding to the, you know, like who you consider or whom you consider to be your closest partners. And I believe that Professor Chen as well, and Osaka University, and also NUS, especially also University of Malaya is our closer at hearts, you know. Because you are not only closer by regions, but we do already have a long-term and established relationships among the institution, not only institutions, but also at the level of individuals, and that is important. So we do reach out to our closer partners in ensuring the sustainability of this academic mobility, especially those in the area of Southeast Asia, East Asia, as well as in Australia. The last thing, and also equally important, is information technology. So we have to understand that, as Professor Chan says, that you just cannot, we can't. I mean, like with all this pandemic, I believe that the physical distancing is very important. And one of the way to make us close is the information technology. So virtual learning environments will be one of the choices. So then we need to channeling our program. So here in Airlangga, we think about the three main components. The first one, that we can channel our programs. The first one is how we can deal with our academia and also our partners, academia, staff and students. That's being said, that the partner institutions also really becoming one of the key component in successfulness of the program. But then we move up a bit to involve the consortiums. I believe that the consortiums offer us so many benefits by having, you know, like get in contact in one, but you can reach many. So having these key components to channel our programs, we have this to move on what we call as a new habit adaptations. In Indonesia, we don't call it as a new normal, but new habit adaptations or adaptasi kebiasaan baru. So these kind of things, we try to move everything into an online or virtual learning environment. So that's including virtual academic programs, virtual non-academic programs. That includes the community empowerment and other engagement, as well as research collaborations. So actually, I was also surprised when Professor Chen have this kind like a terminology of the co-opetition, because this is actually one of our strategy as well. With regards to the interorganizational relationships, we do have the this kind like a thinking about the co-opetitions, and I believe this is one of the way to do it. And this is some of the examples of in Airlangga, the programs that now turning fully online. This is our international semester programs. This is Amerta. And at the moment, we have still receiving many of the applications from our global partners. At the moment, we have around almost 40 students already applying for upcoming semester for this program. And then this is the Lingua, or Learning Indonesian Language at Universitas Airlangga, which is also an international semester, but focusing on the learning language. And this actually a new programs, as I said previously, developed to help flattening the curve. And this new program has invited or attract 75 international students to join this kind like a competitions. It's good. And this kind of things that what we have today with the this kind like a Airlangga Global Talk, which I believe it's just a good start for many others engagement with our partners. And this is actually happening at the moment. We do this under the consortium of ASEA UniNet, and this is focusing on the SDGs. And this is also happening at the moment as well. It's the same week, and Airlangga is actually holding as a host today. This is also a consortium's work where Airlangga working with our fellow 9 university in East Java, working collaboratively with the Western Australia universities, including UDAP, Curtin University, and other university as well. And this is also one of the consortiums that we have what we call as online global classrooms through EduNet. And this is also one of the chains, a significant change. That's how we can engage with our global partners. Previously, of course, I believe that this is some of the like the ritual of any international office or international engagement. And I happens to meet Professor Chen in many of those, academic fairs. But now we can't have this privilege to do this. So we still engage with our global partners to virtual fair. So this is one of our last engagement in a QS SFS. And this is, I believe, I need to highlight this, that apart from being so much interacted and so much interested with all of those virtual engagements, we still have some challenges, but we still think that we need to move forward. And I'd like to hear that from our esteemed partners at the moment, that we do have this kind like challenges. This can be like academia related, including losing excitement of direct experience or human interactions, maintaining enthusiasm during virtual sessions. That's the hardest things, I think. But personally, I think there are some blurring boundaries of identities of being a mom, like a head of global engagement. At the same time, you have to give your talk while preparing, your dinner or something. And also, as what we have currently, we have a time difference. Yesterday, Professor Yong asked me, Didi, is this 1 p.m. in Jakarta or 1 p.m. in Kuala Lumpur? So this is kind of like a thing that even like that simple, but it's still, it matters. So with regards to partner or consortium related, we do have what we call as a commitment. So commitment is an issue, and how we can actually balance the principle of competition as well as the different expectations. And other things like how to build the unique programs. And I believe that no one says it will be easy. I mean, like Professor Chen says that, you know, like Asia University came out with hundreds of participants, and I know that the preparations will be like very considerably hard. And some of the involvement of VR as well as the questions, will that matter to the international achievements? That's usually become the basic questions of our engagement through this virtual learning. So what will be next? I believe that we are in this together, of course. And I also believe, and our university also believe that we can survive this through a very healthy competitions. So we can learning together like what we have now, this discussion forum. And surely we expect to welcome more collaborations initiative from our partners, not only our global partners, but also our domestic partners. I think that's all from Airlangga. Dr. Irfan, I will return the forum to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dian Ekawati. So that's UNAIR experience. Right now, we will go to Singapore, to National University of Singapore with Professor Chin Wei Song. Dr. Dian, can you unshare your screen? Yes, okay. So I will read the bio of Professor Chin Wei Song first. Professor Chin Wei Song graduated from the National University of Singapore with a PhD in chemistry. She's currently the academic director at the NUS Global Relations Office, overseeing student mobility and partnerships in the Southeast Asia, Australasia, China, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Korea, Japan, and South Asia regions. Professor Chin was once the Assistant Dean in 2006 until 2009, and later the Vice Dean on 2009 to 2013 of the Faculty of Science at NUS. During this period, she has contributed in many aspects to the faculty, overseeing human and finance resource, outreach to school students, life development, and many more. She was also presented the NUS Quality Service Award in 2005 and was a recipient of the Faculty Teaching Excellence Award for academic year 2007-2008, and she was honored with the Long Service Medal at Singapore National Day Award in 2019. For further presentation, I will give the time to Professor Chin Wei Song.
Thank you, Irfan. It's an honor to be invited and join you in this webinar. Perhaps let me share my screen first. Okay, I hope it's appearing right. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Wei Song here, the Academic Director for Global Relation Office in National University of Singapore. So from the International Office, I'd like to share with you today a few points, very down to earth, a few points on how we have been keeping internationalization alive during this pandemic. So I think I can share, and I'm sure most of us in the international office at university all around the world would say that we have a very eventful year for 2020. Yeah, I remember it started on the last day of January. In fact, it is on the eve of our so-called Chinese Lunar New Year that we at NUS have to make a very difficult decision to suspend our student exchange program, SEP, in China. And then it just followed quickly with another suspension of SEP to Korea in February, and then very soon to all places when WHO declared worldwide pandemic in March. So in Singapore, and the government decided that all students must be called back because the situation is can be getting worse all around the world. So my office has been very involved in helping more than, actually we have more than 1,300 students recall from all over the world. So there was this time of very much uncertainty, and there's a lot for these students to handle, of course, because they were recalled halfway from their SEP overseas. So as at the very heart of our global relation or international office, I think building strong people-to-people relations through partnership engagement and student mobilities are the main thrust of our role. So we, after handling this suspension of all these activities, we immediately posted with these three inconveniences or problems, because we are not possible for us to physically meet our partners anymore to reap the benefits of student mobility, and we are unable to co-organize many activities that we have planned with our partner. So, but we believe that we should not lose this so-called human touch. I think it's important in building strong people-to-people relations that we still treasure. So we have explored a few ways to continue this effort. So it's starting from about April or May, we started to think about what we can do. And I'll just very practically share with you 3 examples. So I just do a 1, 2, 3, 4 with very practical example of what we do. So the first thing we were first focus on, how do we reaffirm our close ties with our partners? So we initiated a series of Zoom catch up with our partners, and starting from very closest neighbors in Southeast Asia, we talked to Malaysia, Thailand, and Indonesia. Of course, from saying hello, how are you? Apa khabar? Assalamualaikum, to Sawatika. So we start with this whole series of very lively chat, and then with these counterparts in another university about anything, about work and life and the COVID situation in each other's country. I think in a sense, we were actually able to meet more counterparts than usual, because we actually meet the whole team of the counterpart over the other side of the Zoom. And compared to pre-pandemic times where only 1 or 2 of us in the office can travel to attend conferences or AUN meetings. So I think this kind of virtual meetup, it's virtual, but actually through Zoom, we can still see each other face to face. Okay, we show genuine care and concern while meeting old friends and new friends. So I think we are able to meet more people, as I said just now, over the 4 months. I've met up with 29 or 30 ASEAN colleagues, and we met up with half of them are new friends over the virtual network. And we contacted about 11 universities over the whole Southeast Asia and these countries. So I think these are something that we quickly think is important to do, and we carry on, and we don't think we lose any thing. In fact, we might gain actually, because we get to know more friends through this catch up. The second initiative this I have kind of initiated is a totally new project to us. Of course, we can move summer program virtually, but we would like to test it out or study the potential and effectiveness of such a virtual program in terms of enhancing the intercultural awareness. And hence, we curated and we co-organized this virtual summer program with Mahidol University in July, and with full participation of 10 NUS students and 11 other students from Mahidol. So the 2-week virtual program was deliberated. We want to encourage maximum learning, interactions, and networking between the 2 groups of students. So they were split into several mixed discussion groups. After attending the online lessons, the student will compare notes and exchange learning outcomes, learning points in groups. We have arranged a whole range of program for them, serious lectures from talking about business, geopolitical situations, to more interesting topics like language and culture, and even lessons on mindfulness, systematic thinkings, and things like that. And we even have Thai cooking and dancing classes. So where our Mahidol University student will teach our student how to wear a traditional Thai costume that was posted or mailed over to their home. So I think we have this very fun virtual party across the internet. Of course, as I say, we have curated this project. We wanted to do it as a little research study on the effectiveness of such a virtual program in building intercultural competencies and language acquisition. So we are now still in the midst of compiling the data and the interview, and we will be happy to share this study once they are ready. So the third point, which I like to share, will be we also need to keep the spirit of exploration alive among our own students, and particularly their exploration overseas and despite this pandemic. So at NUS, we have a so-called student life fair every year in the first or second week of the new academic year, which is just started. We are now into our week 3. So of course, this year the student life fair goes online. It's on social media over a week. And although we are not very sure actually when overseas travel will resume, so our office continues to secure a slot in this fair to speak with students. And we engage the so-called student influencers. So these are students who are very active on social media, and they have a large group of fans. And we engage them to promote these global programs and awareness. And they spoke over the Zoom and Instagram, sharing their own experiences to students. So we are trying to sense the ground of students. So we also launched a survey. We want to understand students' concern and whether their preference, whether they are still keen, or what is their interest level in the midst of this pandemic in terms of interest level to these global programs. So this is ongoing, and we are looking forward to find out this result. The fourth and last point is on how actually we hope to do more actually in this so-called atypical or abnormal time, or now you call it a new normal in the future. So we strongly believe that cross-regional collaboration should be enhanced rather than reduced at this point for us to progress together. I mean, we can't live in isolation. We need to learn from each other. So my office has initiated this collaboration with another office at NUS, the Center for Development of Teaching and Learning. And we organize a series of webinars to share best practices on teaching and learning. So our idea is to invite colleagues within ASEAN to join NUS, this Center for Development of Teaching and Learning, to share their expertise and experiences on various topics. And for example, we had the first webinar, which is shown here in June, on what are our assessment options in the midst of this pandemic. So through this webinar, we have a very productive discussion together. We attracted more than 1,300 attendees from all over Southeast Asia in this webinar. And I think we have very fruitful discussion. So I'm glad to inform that we actually have 2 more webinar lined up in August and September. The topic of sharing good teaching practices and how have we coped in the time of a pandemic, and also the third one will be teaching and learning in a challenging situation. How have we been supporting in terms of academics in and overcoming challenges in teaching and learning? So we hope that through this webinar, we have gathered our group of colleagues within the university in Southeast Asia together, and we can hold hands merge even stronger after this pandemic. In fact, we hope that this will forge our long sort of closer relationship between our teaching and learning practitioners in the region. So in summary, please allow me to just conclude with 3 points. So in the pandemic, we can and we should harness technology to stay connected. So as I say, in Zoom, actually, we are seeing each other face to face, in a sense, through Zoom and video, and not really losing the human touch. Of course, the equity of this technology, whether we could have this being spread out in all the different regions. The other point is I believe physical global programs cannot be replaced because it is born from the need of people to meet and experience firsthand. So this long practice global visits or learning experientially is important still, but I think we will have to be prepared for a future of hybrid learning because it is like what we are now practicing actually in NUS. We started our semester and we have both the virtual and the physical learning sort of mixed. I think this hybrid nature of learning environment will go on. But of course, in terms of student mobility, we hope that there will be still chances that we can travel. But if we have to do a hybrid learning model, I think the virtual component, we need to put in more effort and to really make it really rigorous and fruitful. So with this, I kind of end my talk and just give you the link of our upcoming webinar that I shared just now, very soon, 2 days later. And we have colleagues from Chulalongkorn and also Brunei to join us in this webinar, second webinar. So I think that's all. I think I stop here. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. Chin Wei Song. The experience from National University of Singapore, and it's so exciting to know that how university try to cope with its own ways. And we save the best for last. Okay, Prof. Yong Zulina Zubairi from University Malaya. She's the Associate Vice Chancellor International, manages university-wide internationalization initiatives. She previously held an administrative position as the Director of International Relations Office. As an academic, she is trained as a statistician, and her area of interest including circular and medical statistics. Prof. Yong Zulina Zubairi, the time is yours.
Thank you very much, Professor Irfan. All the esteemed speakers, Dr. Dian from Erlangga University, Professor Chin from NUS, Professor Clement from Osaka University, Prof. Chen from Asia University. Thank you all for being with us today, and also my congratulations to Erlangga University for organizing this webinar. A very good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I hope I will do justice to what Prof. Irfan has actually mentioned. I would like to share with you our experience as to how do we respond to this COVID-19. So in line with the theme that is given to me, in other words, we are looking at ways, how do we enhance global and academic mobility during this pandemic. And I would like to share with you the perspective at the University of Malaya. Next, please. Next, please. Right. Can I have the next slide, please? Right. So I'm going to share with you how do we respond to this COVID-19. 3 areas that they are looking at. If you can, I have the next slide, please, where we are looking at 3 kind of support or people and also the environment. So this is very much in line with the UNESCO, where looking at UNESCO's definition, education for sustainable development, it is all about empowering people to change the way we do things and to work together towards a more sustainable future. I think this whole event that we all are going through really make us rethink and force us to go into, thinking and doing at the way we, from the usual way we are doing things. So for us, 3 areas that we had to pay special attention to is the, if we can go back, the support to the academic staff, what kind of support that we need to provide to them, what kind of support that we need to provide to the students, and also the third one is on the safety of the whole campus community. I think everybody can relate to this very well, because I think all of us, every university is going online. So this transition, towards 100% online teaching, for some of us, is not something that we can sort of autopilot, we can change automatically. So we really need to support the training to all the academics and also the investment on the system, on the platform that we have online. So all these things has got to be changed almost immediately. In some, we really have to bypass the bureaucracy on some purchasing some of the equipment and things like that in order to make sure that classes are done to the very best, and also the quality is not being compromised. So all in all, the lesson learned that we have had in the last semester is that we all need to have some kind of flexibility, need to have some kind of definitely a training and support to the academic staff who actually have to change overnight. So this is not just the training, but also the technical support and also the guidelines as to how do we go about providing a quality teaching and learning experience to the students. So on the other side of the coin also, we have to think on the welfare of the students. This includes making sure that none of the students are left behind, where we have actually charted an inclusive policy. When we do things online, teaching and learning, no students are left behind. This means providing the necessary connectivity to some of the students who might be remote, or some of the students from the bottom 40 of the socioeconomic status are able to have the data plan. So we had a survey, several rounds of survey to identify really the needy students and provide them with the plan. And the telco company really, helped us on this, and they gave the SIM card straight to the doorsteps to all the students. All this done in a very quick way, and I think what is important here is that we need to leverage all the working committee that we have within the community, the campus community, and also the private company out there, in this case, the telco. Similarly, for some of the students who might be far away and might have problems on internet connectivity, we have to make sure that they are able to have the classes, so things on asynchronized, synchronized teaching and things like that. And also for some students, especially the international students that we have, we need to make sure that they are safe, they are taken care of. And I think this is very much what the NUSS practice, where we regularly have series of meetings, engagements, tea time talks with them, just to make sure that we are remembering them. We are all in this together to make sure that we are all in high spirits. I do like the high spirit of Prof. Chen, and also his optimism, enthusiasm. I think it's so contagious. And I hope, these are the personalities who actually that we do need on campus to move on and and overcoming this this problem, this pandemic, in a positive way. And the third one that we did was to make sure that the safety of campus is not being compromised. So here we have to mobilize a special working committee to make sure things on health, safety, the advisory travels to the international students as well, the exchange students are all very clearly outlined, and there is no miscommunication. We for the some groups of academics and also the support team actually come up with some apps that really help people, I think very similar to other parts of the world where contact tracing is very important. So we have created a Touch apps where as soon as you check into the campus, we know where you are and things like that. Next. So in regard to all this, at the back of mind when we worked on it, there is always the agenda of internationalization. So in other words, when we do things, we must not think about we are doing it in silos, because other people are facing the same problem as well. So I would like to share one report from the Times Higher Education. They did a global survey sometime in late May, and they have got about 200 leaders from prestigious universities worldwide from 53 countries. And they asked on the outlook of the international collaboration. Interestingly, about 60% says they are very confident that international collaboration will be strengthened following the pandemic. And when asked what areas, definitely they are looking at areas in the field of science. So this pandemic, actually, we all know that it altered the way we provide higher education. It puts us in a limbo as to how do we go about providing quality education, and also the educational model of many universities, how we do things are no more the same. We also don't know to what extent is the cross-border mobility is being impacted, and what's the new paradigm. I think everybody is not clear, and we are all among ourselves trying to define, trying to plan how do we move on to the next semester. But what we can see is that all these setbacks, the crises that we are facing actually make us think and reflect. Perhaps this force us to look at new opportunities on the way we deliver education, on the way we do cross-border collaboration, and I think most importantly on the use of technology. So with regard for internationalization, we are looking at 4 focus areas. I think our colleagues earlier on have talked about running virtual programs, virtual mobility programs. These are all excellent models. For AUN in particular, I know they are running virtual internships, and also, and in some parts of the world, there is already a recognition of this virtual program, virtual mobility program. In Malaysia in particular, this is relatively new. So for us at the international office, last week we had a meeting in which we are trying to have a very clear operational definition where it will be recognized at a national level and perhaps within ASEAN itself, as to we endorse this is something that we all embrace. So we are very clear that we cannot equate virtual mobility as to face-to-face. But so long as we have a very clear understanding, a very clear operational definition, and what really counts, in other words, the credit transfer, the credit recognition is something that we need to be working on to ensure that when we promote such a program, the recognition is recognized within at least the ASEAN region for a start. Another one, I think I must congratulate again Airlangga University and also a few other universities. It is extremely important to continue our engagement. And I think Dr. Dian has rightfully mentioned, this is the time to work closely with all the networks that you have. For us, it makes sense to actually be part of perhaps a webinar under the network, because by default, you already have X numbers of institutions partaking in such endeavor. So at this point in time, I think we are all sharing our best practices, sharing our experience, and I would say that the next level actually be working together in some groups, special interest groups within a network, looking at specific particular areas such as on the quality of teaching and learning, as what we have seen in NUS, and perhaps other areas as well. So I think that would be the next level in which we can sit down in special interest groups, where we could very well have a seminar, a 3-day seminar. Again, it will be so much easier to have it within the Southeast, even Asia Pacific region, because the time zone isn't differed very much. Yeah? So I can see there's a lot of interest on regional topics. Could very well be on health, could very well be on the well-being of students, and also the exchange on perhaps other areas as well that would be relevant. Yeah, and other areas that we are looking at, it would be global challenges, regional research projects that would be relevant within the region. I think in some of countries, yeah, there is an increase on the number of special grants related to COVID-19. It could very well be a national, it could be very well an international level. Again, within some networks, we could actually work together to have a special fund that that really look at some of the problems relating to COVID-19. It could be on economy, could be very well on the social well-being and health. And I think other speakers have also shared with us the importance of technology. So again, we must leverage on technology for research activities. We might not be able to meet face-to-face, but then again, we must leverage on technology to do even FGD, or even to have data collection, survey, and things like that. Yeah. And the fourth one that I would like to share with you, perhaps, is to explore new forms of collaboration with universities, looking at teaching and learning. So for us at University Malaya, we have actually changed the goalpost, or what we call the key performance index, in which we encourage faculties, so we give them a certain number of courses that need to have, in which in all the courses, a certain proportion is done in co-teaching. So for us, a typical academic session is 14 weeks. So you might have 1 or 2 guest lectures from your partners. So what we do is we map the MOU host, where we give all the listing of the MOU host to each of the faculty, asking them to find the academics at their partners, to identify fellow academicians to be teaching maybe 1 or 2 hours. So this is something that we have actually changed in the upcoming semester, and faculties are doing it. Another one is the micro-credentialing as well, whereby instead of providing a good quality teaching materials over the 14 weeks, it could be cut down into subgroups, small groups, where it is more manageable and a better quality. We hope in the long run, yeah, when I think we all agree that we really do not know how long we're going to be like this, but for sure the online teaching will be going on for quite some time. So perhaps it would be good to have a platform of a common online courses, which which would actually appeal to the ASEAN nation in general. It's very much something, you know, you see in a FutureLearn's platform or Coursera, but we could very well have it within the ASEAN on topics that we very interest within the region itself. So next, please. Next slide, please. So how do we go about doing this? Yeah. So my takeaway is that if we're going to have all these changes done, it has to start with the leaders. It has to be bottom up. It has to be top down in both ways. We must, as leaders, we must be leading the change. As we lead the change, we must have the flexibility, be creative enough to try out new ways of doing things, use technology, embrace the diversity within the ASEAN region itself. So that, to me, is extremely important, you know, if we're going to move on with this new norm. Another one is that I think is on technology. We need to be looking at solutions. For example, I think we are, for most of us, we are working from home. We have got our safety SOP guidelines. It's worthwhile to compare and contrast and learn from each other. How do we go about doing it? You know, having a work from home increase the productivity, or how do we go about it? Yeah. So all in all, we must use technology as a platform to find solutions. Use of technology for multicultural discussions is what we are doing now, for collaborations and all forms of engagement. I think you have seen it earlier on when you do the virtual mobility. So all in all, yeah, when we do this, we need to make sure at the back of our mind, emphasis on the pillars of sustainability development, 3 areas in particular: the economic development, the social development, and the environmental and health protection should be in the forefront when we do things. These are the things that we need to make sure that we take into account as we embark on these new norms. Yeah. So in doing so, I think we are all in the same situation. So this is the best time for us to collaborate in activities, in doing as what NUS has mentioned, just talk, just having social coffee, social cohesion, you know, where we both share our problems, we share our miseries, or even, you know, have some laughs over it. But at least at the end of the day, we could have some sense of degree of control on this. How do we manage the pandemic? So for me, the 3R is extremely important. How do we respond in a positive way? Number 2, how do we reimagine things with this so-called new norm, or whatever term that you're using? And also, how do we recover? Is there such a thing as recovering? What's the new meaning of recovering? And in doing so, I think the best way to do this is actually working together with friends, finding ways and helping each other. To me, that's the most important takeaway. I think this is even more so, the agenda for internationalization is really very relevant. So I think that's all that I would like to share this afternoon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prof. Yong. We actually have closing the session with this inspiring words in collaboration, not only collaborate, but also helping each other, right? It's so strong. So I think we still have 10 minutes for Q&A, and we have this participants who like to ask directly. Who's the first? Yeah, participant? Oh yeah, we have Professor Said here as well. Hello, Prof. Said. Okay.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Hello. I'm fine, thank you. How are you? You all right?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you, Professor Said. Professor Said is from SPECS. the organization that helps as well UNER in achieving its internationalization goals. And Prof. Said, can you give your comments based on the discussion made by the panelists?
I mean, I've been very much indulged in the discussion I've been listening to for the last 2 hours. I mean, some of the points being raised is very, very important, and I'm very happy that panelists and participants actually have identified issues which are very important for internationalization during this COVID-19. I've written here as a comment, and I think I do believe that now that COVID-19 has been a best chance for us as educationalists and as a practitioners in education to understand our limitations or the limitations of our current programs, our current systems, educational systems. And this is what I borrow from Dr. Diane when she said that these are challenges that need to be changed into opportunities. And this is the opportunity for us now to understand better about the current systems and how we improve them. I also believe that the most obvious victim
yes.
Yeah. The most obvious victim of COVID-19 is internationalization in education. And this is where we really want to work together on how to sustain this internationalization and make knowledge better for everyone and available for everyone. Thank you. This is my comments. I mean, as I said, I'll be more than happy to receive any question if there's any.
Thank you, Prof. Muhammad Said. Long way from UK. Okay, do you have any comments from the panelists or respond on to Prof. Said's comments?
Yeah, if I may have some words. Prof. Said, thank you for engaging with us and as well as joining this kind of like a sessions, and I'm really looking forward to work with all the panelists as well as all the parties that are joining this event. From Airlangga experience, I do believe that this pandemic itself is a blessing in disguise. And we do believe that it's always there will always be a silver lining in every cloud. And yes, we do have to change our perspective, not to look this as hardships, but also there's always some ways if we look and really look at it. And as what I said previously, that we need to look back and also contemplate, and we have to believe in ourselves and look at our own strengths as an organizations, as an individuals in organizations, and build on with it, build on this kind strengths or even the weaknesses, as you said that we learn about ourselves. And sometimes, as I said to one of the questions in a Q&A, that the learning itself sometimes it has to push, and this kind a pandemic has made such kind a punctuated learning where our pattern, normal pattern of learning has to stop, and we are pushed forward these boundaries to have a different level of learning where we are required to learn fast and adapt fast and even innovate our ways in a such a an ungodly speed. So and I do believe that every one of us will hopefully, inshallah, will survive this, not only as an individual but also as an organization. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other response? Okay, please, Prof. Chin.
Thanks, Prof. Yong, for the sharing. I think I pick up one point from Prof. Yong sharing about this. I think it's time for us as ASEAN, the regional place here, to start thinking about zooming into efforts that we can work together. I think well, we can't meet each other in a big conferences or meetings, but we actually can have more people on board when we do online Zoom meetings, because everybody should have some time, you know, when you just sit down and turn on your computer. So I think we should start looking into that. In fact, the September, I was sharing the webinar. The September event is actually meant for, we would like to invite university, those colleagues who are involved in supporting teaching and learning. I would like them to come together and have a good dialogue and brainstorms together to see how we can progress as a region. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, for your.
Thank you. We have participants who would like to ask directly. Ibu Wiwin Widiasih, are you there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Are you here?
please, yes.
Okay, this is about the question I delivered to Budian. According to dictate regulation, since pandemic happened, we do teaching by online. So is it allowed or not to create the student exchange program by online also?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, it has been responded as well, but it's okay
Yeah.
to we can hear it directly from
Yeah.
you, please.
Yeah, I mean, like I already responded. This is a very simple questions actually, that whether we can or we cannot, you know, like make this kind like a virtual or online exchange program. But actually, it is never be simple, especially about the answer, because it's very complicated for us. And at some point, I think its university is measured. I mean, like internationally is measured by indicators through different ranking or any measurements, including government bodies within the national coverage areas. Like in Indonesia, we do have our BAN, Badan Akreditasi Nasional, or a national accreditations body. And we also of course, by the government, especially by Dikti, the Ministry of Higher Education, Ministry of National Education, we are required also to be assessed through QS as well as the THE. And I do believe that every single university in this world, you know, like are exposed to those kind like what is called measurements. So in that sense, where everyone is actually experiencing the same and they cannot go anywhere, then the virtual learning or online exchange programs will be one of the answers. As I said previously in one of my slides, especially toward the end, whether is it enough for internationalizations, or whether, you know, like any accreditations body or any, you know, like a ranking assessment body would really take it, you know, like as a part of their measurement for next, you know, like a cycle. We never know, because even like we ask you, as we ask, you know, like many other, you know, like those ranking assessment, they said it's like we are still considering it. But then if for us personally, I mean, like for Airlangga, we still have to do things, and by the Dikti, by the ministry itself in Indonesia, and the rector itself in Airlangga, the rector has already comments and issued a letter stating that all the online academic and non-academic engagements will have to be assessed and also converted into like a credit loads. So I believe that we use this base of thinking, or we use this base of as a, you know, like one of the foundations for us to move forward. And whether or not this will be you know, like included on those kind like an assessment as an online exchange program, which replace I mean, like which can be used as a replacement for the physical online programs, we never know. But we do our best at this moment, rather than we were waiting and not doing anything, and then let, you know, like the time pass by without getting anything. So as the university, and each university, I believe in this world, has their own goals and their own objective. So I do believe that we do what we can do. And at the moment, and we do, we can help our partners, and we do also help, hope that our partners can help us to do this, because as I said previously, and Professor Yong also said the same, that for me, I rely on our closer and closest partners in this area to help us. So I do believe that as I said to Bu Wiwin in the Q&A chat rooms, in UNER, I believe that the virtual learning especially can be what it's called, can be measured by the credit loads. Every single programs that UNER has created in our departments and in our faculties, as well as in global engagements, everything are credit bearing. So with that kind of things in mind, I do believe that it's not only offering like sitting and then listening to people, but also engaging with the kind like interactions in a different way. Every single project has to be conducted in group, and then like people dealing with each other, they discuss with each other outside this virtual learning environment provided by the university to finish their assignments. And I believe that that's actually the same credit and the same load that people usually do, not only like when they do assignments physically outside the class, but now we just change the media, but then the essence of the activities are still the same. So why not? Thank you.
Right. We go to next participant, Bu Jani. Hello, Bu Jani. Oh, it seems.
Please, yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Irfan, for the opportunity to deliver my question directly to all the panelists, to all the speakers. My question is, what I'm thinking is one big thing is missing in international online program that most university offer during the pandemic is the chances for the student to have a direct communication, both with the student or with the lecturer, or even between the lecturer themselves. And also the feeling, the ambience being abroad is missing for sure, because even they join to the international conference, but physically they are sitting in their house. So I'm asking, what is the breakthrough that our university can offer to the student? Because if I think the conventional model for the credit taking or international program is just like one-way communication. The students sitting in front of the laptop and listening, and that's all. But is there any program or method for you to so that the student can engage more? For example, I'm just thinking that maybe we create a program collaboratively in a small group where the student can communicate with other students from other countries. So even they are not meet in person, but they engage for real. The second one is the biggest challenge. The second biggest challenge is to switch the method of lecturing in this pandemic to become more student-centered learning. So that's why the student is not the object of the teaching, but the student themselves are the subject in teaching. So how do you prepare your student and also your lecturer to go in this situation? Thank you so much. And also, Prof. Song, we invited you to the university to give talk on general education and the preparing education for Revolution Industry 4.0 in 2018. I'm one of the organizers, so I thank you so much. I'm really happy to see you here. Thank you so much, and my best regards to all the professors here. Thank you, Pak Irfan.
Thank you, Bu Jani. Please, any response from Prof. Chin, Prof. Yong, or Bu Dian?
Maybe if I can say a few things. Thank you very much, Prof. Jani, for that question. In actual fact, in the virtual mobility, the interaction is very much the same as if it's a face-to-face. One model, an international model by the acronym COIL.
Okay.
Collaborative online learning platform is practiced in many countries, in Korea, even in the United States and a few others, whereby students are working on the same problem and they are given groups from different universities. So they are in meetings in which it can be done on a virtual meeting where the lecturers will be able to go from one meeting room to the other virtually. A very simple platform will be the Office 365, whereby the lecturer is able to have all the several meeting rooms and be going from one meeting room to the other to make sure that the students actually discuss from the counterparts from the different universities. And also, I think over the past few months, a lot of universities are improving on the quality of teaching and learning. This means, for example, a synchronized teaching. How do you check the body language? How do you make sure that when you deliver a course, the students are given the option to participate? Some studies just looking even at the iris, at the eyes to see, you know how it is when we face to face, you can actually monitor in certain part of the room. There's a group of students who are interested, but the same thing also apparently can be done on an online as well. So you'll be surprised. There's a lot of innovative ways to make sure that the classes are not done, one way. It's very much interactive. So as what Prof. Jean has mentioned, we could very well be working on special interest groups, just looking on having classroom, a flipped classroom online. How do you go? What does it mean? What did it take? What's the, what kind of activity? What would be the span of the activities? What kind of output would you be expecting of the students and things like that? Even on the assessment, the reflection, the way how do they react to it? The kind of video that the students produce in some of the works, you'll be amazed. So. So we need to have these special interest groups as well. For example, NU has started the ball rolling, looking at the innovative ways on teaching and learnings. In fact, for us at University Malaya, we got a 3-day conference, innovative ways for teaching and learning for new lecturers. Unfortunately, we're doing it at the national level, seeing how it is done at different universities. But we can also bring it to the next level, looking at different parts, how it is done in Indonesia, in Singapore, and things like that. Really looking at specific subgroups of academicians, specific subgroups of field of study, for example. So this is where we need to be, working together, because at the end of the day, all of us are delivering classes in chemistry, mathematics, what it is, and it's all online. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof.
Okay. Professor Irfan, can I add something around? I mean, before I try to answer the question from Kartika regarding the laboratory activities within the COVID. I would like just to reiterate what Professor Young just said in her presentation about the equipping faculty, staff, and students with the skills. This is actually the most important thing we have to think about at this time, how we integrate these training sessions within the daily life now in all universities, because we have to learn how we adapt to the new norm, and the new norm requires us to access or to have be able to have different skills as educationals. So this is very important now. We need to think more closely to integrating training sessions on the new norm in our daily life in campuses. As for the laboratory activity, this question still doesn't have a definite answer. But I just want to give you an idea about what most UK universities are doing now for laboratory activity. The only thing they can do is to probably split the classes or the labs into smaller groups where social distancing is maintained, and also if they need to cover or use masks is required. So yes, we cannot do virtual laboratories, especially for specific certain science, but if we have to do them, then we have to do them this way. We have to split the class into smaller groups that we can actually this small number will be able to preserve the rules for distance or social distancing. At the same time, they still can have access to the equipment within the lab. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Prof. Said, for your response as well. If there any response again from the speakers, yes, Prof. Clement.
Thank you, Professor Said. I think that's a very useful way to conduct labs in this pandemic. That's what we have been doing also. We split our lab classes in chemistry and biology in smaller groups. This is causing a burden to the instructors, but this is the only way that we can do. We also are practicing, we open the windows once in 10 minutes to let fresh air in. And also we have to make sure that students are practicing social distancing. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have reached the limit of our webinar time. I'm sorry for this extended discussion, but it's very interesting. So that's why we extend our times. We'll try to conclude what we have discussed since the beginning, as what Professor Clement has already put out, that we should focus on quality, even though it's hard to maintain, for example, the number of students that we may receive before the pandemic, but we have to make sure that quality still can meet the purpose of education. And Prof. Ying Hui Chen also said that we should be optimistic in this time, because he has given the examples of how ASEA University has actually received many students joining the virtual programs. And furthermore, by Prof. Chin Wei Song, that she claimed that we can't replace physical program. It still needs to be done, but we have to prepare, since we have met the time of uncertainty. Like in the Revolution 4.0, it's like disruption era, and now it is the proof. And we have to prepare as best as we can. And by Universitas Airlangga, Dr. Dian said that we should embrace the challenge, because we need to reach out to closer institution that we have, the network that we have. And we should prepare ourselves as well as on the matter of information technology. And clearly noted by Prof. Yong that education, it needs the sustainable development. So that's why from the slides we also noted that, well, it has the portion 3R, right? Respond, reimagine, recover. And then by doing this, we can go further and achieve the one that has been said previously by Professor Clement, the quality itself. So I think the message is clear that we have to be optimistic, and we should prepare ourselves in taking care of the quality of the education, the quality of our global mobility itself. Thank you very much for the invited speakers that has very interesting and inspiring words and also statements. And we also thank you, the participants who are joining this program. We will meet again in tomorrow. We will have another session with Singapore University of Social Sciences, and continued again on the Airlangga Global Talk series. I'm Irfan Wahyudi signing out, and thank you once again. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof. Yong, Prof. Clement, Prof. Chin, and also Prof. Chen. Prof. Chen.
Please, Viro.
Everyone, thank you. Thank you, and Dr. Irfan as well.
invitation.
Thank you.
Viro, your voice is still muted.
Sorry, and thank you, Mr. Irfan Wahyudi, for moderating the Erlangga Global Talk magnificently. Ladies and gentlemen, excellencies, all of the speakers, we would like to have a group photo virtually, actually. So please stay, and Tifa, my colleague, will take a capture of the screen. Please, Tifa.
Okay, everyone be still.
Actually, Prof. Chen is away from the chair. Do we have to
okay.
reading?
No, it's all right. I think he has another meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good, Eva.
Okay, wait a minute. I need to hide some of those. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Once more. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to once again thank you so much to all of the speakers, Prof. Chen, Prof. Clement, Prof. Yong, Prof. Chinwe, and Ibu Dian. Prof. Clement, thank you in Surabaya. We also say thank you in Matur Nuwun. Terima kasih. Last but not least, we also encourage to all of the participants to fill a satisfaction survey. We already put in the room chat. Your feedback will be very much appreciated. I hope for us good luck and see you in the next webinar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Bye-bye.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Prof. Chin. Prof. Clement, thank you. Prof. Clement, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
Thank you, Prof.
Terima kasih.
Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin.
Di Prof. Chen ini apa?
Prof. Chen, salah Pak. Prof. Ntar Mbak tak save dulu.
Tadi itu si ini ya, Profesor Yong nggak ikut foto ya?